In previous movies, we've seen how we can add attributes and methods, and we've seen how we can call those methods and read and write to the attributes from both inside the class using the this reference variable and also from outside the class definition. Well, one of the features of object-oriented programming is that we can also restrict access to those attributes and methods that are inside the class. Now, that's not something we can do when we're not working with OOP. We normally just have access to a function if it exists, or access to a variable if it exists. Now, we have scope that may determine where the variable exists and whether we can get to it. But that's different. We're talking about controlling access to it specifically within the class. And we're going to do that with access modifiers. There are 3 access modifiers: public, private, and protected. Public is going to make an attribute or a method accessible from everywhere. It means anyone can access it anytime. And this can be the default setting for new attributes and for new methods. We also have private, which says that this can only be accessed within this class. So we're not able to call a method or an attribute from outside the class, like we did when we were doing some getting and setting of those values or calling methods that were in classes. We can only call them internally inside the class. And then protected loosens it up just a little bit, and it says we can call them from within this class or the subclasses of this class. So if we're going to be working with subclasses a lot, we're probably going to want to make things protected so the subclasses can still work with different things. But if we know for a fact it's only this class, we can go ahead and lock it down tight and make it private, and that way other parts of our code can't access it. Now, don't mistake this access control for security. We're not restricting what the public can actually get to in our application. Hopefully, they can't get to any of our code or call any of our methods. They have to interact through the web pages that we generate. And our code on those web pages that they never see, the PHP code, will have access to do these things. So what we're talking about is our code being able to access different methods. Now, why don't we just make everything public? Well, you could. You certainly could. You can make everything public all the time. This is good programming practice. It's a good habit to get into with object-oriented programming to start categorizing whether a method inside a class ought to be public or private, because it will force us to keep with good programming conventions. But if you decide to make all of your attributes and all of your methods public all the time, it does not give you a less secure PHP application. It simply means that your objects might not be as well written as they could be. Let's take a look at how we would use each of these. Okay, I'm just going to go into TextMate and open up a new document, and I'll save it in my sandbox, and we'll call it access modifiers.php. There we go, and I'll go ahead and just put my PHP tags in. Now, I'm going to start out by just pasting in some code that will get us started. So I've just got a simple example class. I've got 3 variables at the top, and I've got a function that just displays all 3 of those. Now, in order to declare access to these variables, these attributes, all we have to do instead of var is just simply change it to public. And this to, let's make it protected, and this one private. So that's all we have to do. We just have to declare them as being one of these types. So by default, if we just use var, that's the same thing as public. So let's take our example class for a test drive and see how it works. Example equals new example. And then let's echo back, and we'll say public A, and put our curly braces, example, and it should be the A attribute. And we'll go ahead and put in a BR tag after it. All right, so let's just try this one out. Public A, see how that works. I'm going to move it over a little bit. Let's open up Firefox, and let's just go to access modifiers. Okay, so it works no problem, and it returns 1 to us. Now let's try the same thing with protected B. And we're going to ask it to return B to us. Okay, let's go back and try it. Fatal error, cannot access protected property. So there's exactly what we would expect. It gives us an error and says, yeah, you don't have access to that because it's protected. Only example and any subclasses of example would have access. So I'm going to comment out that line, and I'm going to then take our A line again, and let's try C, and it's going to be private C, and we can already guess what's going to happen. Let's reload it and see. Can I access a private property, right? And that also makes sense because, like protected, only that class has access to that value. Now, to make the point about it having access, let's try our show ABC method. Example and show ABC. So we'll save it. We'll go back and let's reload it. And you'll see it comes back with 1, 2, 3. It was able to access 1, 2, and 3. It accesses the A because it's public to everyone. It accesses B because we're inside either the class or the subclass. And C, we're also inside the class. So we're able to get all three of those values. If you like, you can pause the movie here and try to make yourself a subclass, let's say small example, and it will extend the class example, and then try that out. Create a new instance of it and see when you run show ABC, what do you get for that. But I'll leave that as an exercise for you to do on your own. Now, methods have access modifiers, just like attributes, but instead of replacing function, what we do is we put it in front of. So public function, hello everyone, that's publicly available. Protected function, I said hello family is the name of it, but that would be available to anyone in this family, meaning this class or its subclasses, or private, where it's only accessible to this class. Now I'll go ahead and add one more method here, just like we did with that show ABC. I'll just have a function called hello that runs all three in a row. So it'll do the first one, then append it to the second one, then the third one, and then return the output. And you'll notice that I put a little comment up there just reminding you that functions are public by default. So we don't have to say public. It's a good practice to go ahead and say it, but you don't have to. So let's drop down and try these out real quick. And I'll just go ahead and paste in a starting one here, echo. And let me just put in echo BR tag. And so we'll do hello everyone, and that will just call our instance of example and ask it to do hello everyone. We'll see what we get back. Let's try that real quick. Hello everyone, give me back hello everyone. So let's try the next one, which is hello family. Let's see what we get there. Same thing, fatal call to protected method. And let's go ahead and comment that out. And let's try it one more time. We can already guess what we're going to get, I think, but hello me, and we try it. Call to a private method error, so that's not going to work. And then last of all, let's call that example hello method. Oh, I have to echo it this time. Echo, there we are. So let's see what we get back this time. Hello everyone, hello family, and hello me. All of those came out of that hello method because it has access to all three of them. So if you stop and think about it for a second, what we've done is restrict access to certain functions and attributes from outside of our classes. But at the same time, we're still able to get access to those, but we have to do it through another route, okay? We have to go through a side door. And that concept is what I want to talk a little bit more about in the next movie.